I'd like to thank the Dowsy for those remarks. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to give the floor to Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission. Madam President, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Volodymyr and dear Mark, for convening us here today. And if you look at all the horrors unleashed by Russia's war, none cuts deeper than the abduction of children. And Olena, as you've said, tens of thousands of boys and girls are trapped in Russia. They are not statistics. Each and every one is a child. And behind each and every abduction is a family in torment. Diana, you also said, and I thank you for that, there are moments of hope. You described the story of Ilya, and there are other stories, so we can do something. And I want to take my time to focus on where we can support. We will not rest until Ukraine's children are home, but I know that the needs at home are also enormous. So, Volodymyr and Olena, that's why I'm delighted to announce today that we are ready to make available some 200 million euros for the provision of school meals. You told me how important that is, and I'm happy to support here. Now, let me briefly focus on the abducted children trapped in a foreign land. We want to support here, and that's why we are funding your prosecutor's office, so that families can see that justice is done. That's why with UNICEF we are investing more than 10 million euros, so that when the children return, and some of you said it, they are not only welcomed, but helped to heal, to learn, and of course to dream again of a future. And that's why we have sanctioned more than 50 individuals complicit in these crimes, and more will follow. But this fight is not Ukraine's alone. It requires the world's resolve to maximize pressure on Russia. And this is why the European Union is joining the international coalition of the return of Ukrainian children. And we are very delighted and honored to host the high-level international summit to put these children at the top of the global agenda. Thank you very much. Slava Ukraine.
I'd like to thank the President of the European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been advised that our two principals have to leave, and we want to express our great appreciation to them both for being with us. The meeting will continue. We'll do a little bit of rearranging of the chairs up here, but we want to thank very much Mr. President and Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you so much for joining us and for leading us in these discussions. So we'll take a very brief, like literally 1 minute, as we thank the Prime Minister and the President. Thank you so much. Can we move into the middle? We're just going to move towards the middle. All right, we're going to continue. If I could just bring the meeting to order, thank those who have spoken. If I could just call the meeting to order, we still have a number of speakers, and I'd really like to give them all an opportunity to speak. So if we could please continue. Having thanked the President of the European Union, it's now my pleasure to give the floor to the representative of the Republic of Bulgaria. Prime Minister Zelenskiy, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dear Madam Carney, Bulgaria remains deeply concerned about the continuing systematic violations of human rights in the temporarily occupied territories. Civilians, especially children, are among the most affected. Russia must be held fully accountable for waging a full-scale war of aggression against Ukraine. We strongly condemn the forced displacement and deportation of Ukrainian children to the Russian Federation. We call for the immediate and unconditional return of all deported children. Their protection must be a non-negotiable priority. The return of children must be treated not as a bargaining chip, but as a non-negotiable pillar of any peace process. Bulgaria calls for full and unhindered access for international human rights monitors, including the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights and the International Committee of the Red Cross to all affected areas, including so-called filtration camps, an institution in Russia where Ukrainian children are being held. Accountability for all violations may be ensured. The use of filtration camps, forced deportations, coercive adoption procedures and attempts to impose Russian citizenship on Ukrainian children undermine human dignity, violate the Fourth Geneva Convention, and must cease immediately. Our guiding point is to assert that the full, safe and dignified return of all Ukrainian children is not merely a humanitarian goal. It is a milestone and precondition for any future peace agreement. Let's be clear. Restoring childhood is restoring humanity. Returning these children is not just an act of compassion, it is an act of justice. And justice is the foundation upon which true peace must be built. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I now give the floor to the representative of the Principality